No, you know what, man? No,
So you're still an asshole.
no.
Come on. What are you telling me? You're ruining my image of you.
Yeah, no. I think I like being a nice guy. Yeah. It was just, you know what, man? It was that constant training, you know. It's just,
Right.
you just want to train, you want to be better. And then after I started teaching, it was my mindset changed. It was like,
Yeah.
now I'm responsible for someone else.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know?
I see. So
And-
that's
and-
definitely something you don't want to pass on.
Yeah, and then so, you know, and with things today, you know, there's just so many choices of martial arts, and people are more prepared now, and
Yeah.
the bad guys are more prepared.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I have to share more.
And they come in
You
groups
see?
too.
Yeah, you know. And,
How has Filipino martial arts changed from the time when you were doing it to what's going on now? Because, you know, we are kind of new to what we're doing. We changed the mindset of how we teach and how we do things.
Yeah, you know what? It's like this, Rick. It's this. The traditional way, okay. You know, it's a different way. Back then, most of us that were learning Filipino martial arts, we were Filipinos,
Right.
right? You know, so we understood the culture.
Okay.
Right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So culturally, you know,
It was a part of you.
I was restricted on what can I have to be respectful. So I'm not going to just blatantly force my teacher to answer questions that he doesn't feel I'm ready to learn yet.
Oh.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, there was
You
So
know,
they gave it to you when you knew you had enough.
knew you had enough, or
Right.
when you were ready for it.
Right.
You know, and and
I question you all the time. Sorry.
yeah. So, you know, but the difference, I think, and it was like that with me and Nonong Angel.
Mm-hmm.
But when we started working out privately, we would drink. We would
Yeah.
do 2 or 3 shots, you know.
Yeah, I heard
The
you were
coconut.
still pretty young.
Yeah, and we would, and so by the time you get a good buzz, man, you're screaming, it was good. At least we thought
Or
it
at
was
least
good.
your
Yeah.
pain tolerance was high
Yeah,
enough.
yeah.
But man, how did that mess up with your
Yeah.
equilibrium? You're on crutches, drunk.
I don't know, man. But but you know, yeah. So
I bet you never fell when you were drunk.
yeah, you know, it's I would say it's mind over matter, because if you don't mind, it don't matter.
That's a good one. I'm gonna take
Was
that
Angel
one. I'm gonna take
was
that
Angel
one.
having to pick you up all the time then?
Not really. You
They were in
know.
a hallway. The wall picked them up all the time.
Yeah, the wall kept him from falling
It
over.
was cool because he was drinking too. He once in a while he'd lean.
He's like, oh,
Yeah.
Carlito, I like that lean. I'm gonna copy it.
Yeah, but you know, So, but the mindset, you know, is what I mean by that is that now it's a little different, you know, because I don't know if it's bad or worse or what, but most of the kids that are learning today, they're, you know, there's, you know, maybe 3rd generation
Right.
family, Filipino, you know, and then so they're third generation American Filipino, right?
Right.
You know, and then so, or 2nd generation, and then or they're not, they're of a, you know, or they come from a different
Mexican.
culture, right? You know, they could be Hispanic, they could be, you know, they could be anyone, and then so you know, so it's all different. You know, we have a culture here that, you know, we tend to want to learn things fast, and
Right.
and that you know, so, and then just martial arts in general at that time, back in the 70s, man, and in the 80s, it had a certain mystique.
Oh, yeah.
I
you
was
know?
there.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah,
and it's
I
I
different
still watch
today.
the movies.
It really
I love
is
it,
so
yeah.
different. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why I'm wondering. What did you see back then to what you're seeing
Yeah.
now? It's like, oh God,
Yeah.
what are they doing? You know?
Yeah, you know, because
Yeah.
it's in the movies, it's
Yeah.
on TV, it's on MMA in sports, right? You know, so you got Muay Thai, you got kickboxing, you got, you know, MMA, you know, and so there's so much out there, you know, and
So much exposure.
so much exposure, you
And
know.
It's
do you
become
think
so
that watered
saturated.
down the art itself? Like, has it made it more or less accessible to what it originally was for?
Oh, you know what, man? I think well, in a way, yes. I think originally it was because look, Eskrima traditionally there were 2. What I mean by that is that if you were from a warrior clan, warrior family of a clan, okay, if you were from warrior family, you started training when you were young.
Right.
Oh,
You
wow,
know,
okay.
and because you're part of your family's job is to become a warrior,
Right, protect.
right?
Yeah.
And you're gonna be the warrior leader. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know,
that
you're
builds you up
gonna be
from
you're gonna be the ninjas. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, so they had certain skills because they're gonna be on the higher level
Of application.
of application. You know, they could be the guard to the
Yeah.
palace. You know, to royalty, and so they're well trained. And then there's also the rest of the community. You know, I go fishing. This guy he's a farmer.
Farmer,
You
yeah.
know,
Right,
and then on their off times or on the off season, they train,
Right.
and that's a separate system.
Wow.
Yeah, that's not as
That's
complex.
the local militia
Yeah.
versus the
Yeah.
guys
Yeah.
who are going to become guards.
Right,
Right,
the soldiers
right.
versus, you know, the local militia.
They're-
Yeah.
You know, so it's different. You know,
'Cause-
and so because I'm not just taking this from Surat. I'm taking this from stories of other styles. You know
Right,
how it
yeah.
was developed, and it's not. And I can understand it because of I grew up in the Philippines.
Right.
You know, and so I understand the culture, and so when you have to develop, because it was handed down from father to son usually, right? You know, so they didn't have big schools, right? So it was family, and then because if you look at the big families in the Philippines that have Filipino martial arts,
Mhm.
you know, you can trace their Filipino martial arts multiple generations.
Right, especially when they
Yeah,
have multiple
right?
children
Okay,
to pass it on.
You know, and so you can go from American influence to the Spaniard influence, and then some maybe all the way to,
the native
just the
yeah.
Silat,
Right.
influence, the Malaysian,
Yeah,
traditional,
Indonesia,
You're one of the first people that I hear actually mention the Malaysian influence.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. I mean, we're
Yeah.
part of that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
In the
You know,
Majapahit War.
Yeah, because if you want to study the ancient Filipino history of
Uh-huh.
how the migration was,
Right. It
that
started with-
history is predominantly lost in the Filipino history,
Right.
right?
They
Because
don't
of the
talk about it anymore,
colonization.
yeah.
Right,
You
right,
look
right.
through Indonesia and Malaysia, you look at their history.
I think Filipino martial
Yeah.
arts kind of started back in 1636
Yeah.
when Magellan came, and that's kind of where it is. But they don't realize it's actually further back than
Yeah,
that.
further back than
Because
that.
each tribe had their own
Yeah.
form of fighting.
No,
and,
it started way back when it was in Malaysia, Indonesia,
Yeah, Malaysia,
Malay,
yeah,
all of these
yeah.
places. When they migrated down towards the Visayan Islands
Uh-huh.
and going over towards Mindanao, that's when it started to become. But even then, it wasn't as strong as it is now.
Huh.
Where not until 1630s, when Magellan and Lapu-Lapu had their battle,
Right, and then
and then they said, okay, we really need to learn. But they weren't Filipinos back then because they didn't become Filipinos
until after
until
Philip.
King Philip.
Yeah.
They said, okay, we're gonna call it Philippines. So it was way past being called Filipino.
Well, yeah, because there were
It's been
various
way-
tribes and different
Right.
names that went by it.
Yeah, because there's families in the Philippines that still are connected to their family in Malaysia and
Right,
Indonesia.
yeah, really.
And so, but yeah, so what I'm saying is that that tradition and because of the tradition, it was a different culture, a different mindset, and then today we as instructors, we decide, okay, how am I gonna approach this? Do I want a lot of students, or do I want a small amount of students, or am I gonna be just do it my way, or am I gonna be open to a lot more people?
Yeah,
You know?
well,
And then so
and because you said that,
Yeah.
because again, we're kind of new with what Danny created, the bladed mind system, and I'm curious because we're of that thing. What do you think of these new schools or new styles that people are bringing up? Do you see the validity in what they're doing? I mean, or
I will say this. If somebody comes up with something different, they have a new way of approaching things. I didn't walk in their shoes. They developed that because, they came about with that because of the way of the path that they took, right?
Right.
And so I will just say this. I think, because right now a lot of people are mixing things. Some people are going more into just combative, and all martial arts are going through that direction. Like before COVID, man, a lot of the schools, they didn't even do forms.
Right.
All of a sudden COVID came along, now they're teaching forms.
Yeah, because they're stuck on the video. Yeah.
Right, and then what
It's
are
the
we
only thing they
doing?
can
What are
say.
we doing in our Zoom classes online? Because I do
Yeah.
one too.
Yeah.
We're doing carenzas and we're doing things that we
Yeah.
basics,
Visual stuff, yeah.
visual stuff, because that's what you can do. Yeah.
And it's funny that you
Yeah,
said
so-
because Danny hates Zoom. He says you don't get the right energies. You
need
don't
to
feel
feel
the
it.
things that
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
it loses so much in
Yeah.
the translation from. And I've always hated watching a video demonstration of
Yeah.
anything. Oh, buy this video for $19.95 and learn how to be a black belt.
Yeah.
Baloney.
Yeah,
You guys know we're on video right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
just make
but
sure.
here's my thing, because I agree with you, but at the same time,
You have to adapt.
At the same time, man, if you're honest about what you're teaching, okay, if you're honest about what you're teaching, then you can teach effectively in
Right.
Zoom. What I mean by that is that
I like that.
in areas where you don't need a partner, and I can show concepts, in the movements, then I can teach that. I can show forms.
You have to
right?
really understand what
and
you're talking
they need
about.
to know though that that's what I'm trying to convey to them.
Mm.
Now for them to understand combat, they need feedback.
Yeah, they need
You
physicality.
need physical,
you need
yeah,
to be right there.
absolutely. And then for me to try to emulate that, or tell them that they can, by doing this, you're going to be able to do that. No way.
Grab your little sister, throw her on the ground.
Yeah, you can't.
Go hit your dad.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that as long as you're honest about what you're teaching, and you don't mislead anybody, then I think you're okay. So, and then here's another thought to me too. Okay, because I was really strict about my beliefs in the Filipino martial arts because I grew up in that environment of, the tradition, right? But here's the thing, though, man. I realized that people do things for different reasons,
Right.
right? There are people that comes into the martial arts because they see this mystic thing, or maybe they see this they watch all these kung fu movies, and they want to experience that. Okay, there's schools for that, right? Okay,
They make dojos.
Yeah, and then you have others that they want to learn more of the tradition. They want to learn the basics from the beginning,
history, yeah.
and then develop, and develop in that way. They want the whole thing. There's reason for that. There's
Right.
students for there's schools for that too, right? And then and then there's schools that are more sharing of application. We don't want to do too much of the basics. We just want to do application. There's schools for that too, right? So as long as each one can find what school they're doing, I don't only have to worry about what I teach.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Because what I teach isn't going to fit everybody.
Right.
And because it doesn't fit anybody, then I can go recommend my friends who do other things. You see what I'm
You know,
saying?
and Danny
You know.
has always said, whenever he's talking to anybody, especially a new student, he says, you know what, go out there, shop around,
Yeah.
see
what
what
fits.
everybody is doing,
Mhm.
and if you don't like that, then come back and
Yeah.
we'll talk.
Yeah.
And then the Danny's famous quote is that the art doesn't find, you don't find the art finds you.
Mhm.
You believe that as well?
Mhm.
That
Yes.
you're going to fall into the right one because it found you.
Yeah. What I mean by that is because you know what you want, right?
Right.
And then when you see it, you're gonna know it's just like this, man. Okay? It's just like when I met my wife, right? It was a set up date, right?
Really?
I looked at her. I said, she was beautiful, man. I said, ooh, she's hot, right? And then but I didn't have nothing clicked. Me and my friend, he was going out with this girl, and then my wife and she were friends. So it was like a blind date.
Mhm.
But what happened was, when we went to San Francisco to go clubbing, I bought them a drink. I went into one room because I wasn't even interested, right? Right? I was not interested.
Cold
right?
shoulder.
So boom, I went to the other side of the room and I found someone else that
This guy.
I was interested in, and I had a great time. Right? Well, coming home,
He knew how to play.
yeah, coming home though, we came in my car, but coming home, my friend drove. And then, so my wife Dara, she was in the back. I had a small car, and she was sitting here, and and she wanted to stretch out, and then she fell asleep on my shoulder, man. And I knew right there.
She trusts me enough to lean on my shoulder. I'm
I
gonna
wa-
marry this girl.
it was right there, man. It was like,
Really?
you know,
That's
I had a feeling that
Oh,
she
come on,
was
that's beautiful.
that she was gonna be
Aw.
mine for the rest of my life. You know.
That's
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that's I think that's what it is, man.
Yeah, you can
know,
say-
I think it is with the martial arts. You could be looking for some. You might think you're in the right place,
Right.
and then one day you go somewhere else and you say, "Oh my gosh, this is what I wanted all this time."
Yeah.
But it took your experience from the other one. So
To
it
realize
wasn't
that's not what you
it
want.
wasn't wasteful. You just found something that was more conducive to what you want.
Yeah, it's not when you can see it in front of you, but when they're
Yeah.
right beside you that you realize.
Now, I will say, now, if somebody would ask me, do I think certain styles are better than others? Yes, I think certain styles are better than others.
Example.
Yeah,
Because of this-
especially
Mine.
especially my style. Hey, man.
No, my style's better.
No, what I
That's
mean
okay,
by
I
that.
don't have a style.
No, what I mean by that is it's better for that individual.
Ah,
Right.
Yeah. You
Well,
see
it's
what I'm
better
saying?
for you because
Yeah.
of the way you're having to adjust yourself
Right,
to
right,
it. I mean,
You know,
that's what you create.
yeah. So it really, so it's just any style can have that potential of being better.
right.
Yeah.
You know,
And of course, we all have our
yeah.
own biases too.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I mean, you know,
definitely.
yeah.
Like you have your bias to your system. But again, you've been doing it for so long that you understand all the ins and outs of it. Is that for you, it's going to work much better than it does for somebody else, possibly,
Yeah.
But, and
because you know it so
based
well.
on what you said, that there are certain things that you do that you keep to yourself because only you can do them. So in a way, yeah, you teach the traditional Sarada, I'm sure, and all the other systems that you know. But at one point, they're just you. You can teach
Yeah.
them separately, but
Yeah.
they're all within you. So you've made something for yourself.
Yeah, but but here's my thing, man. What the challenge for me, and when it clicks, that's what fires me up now, is that, I give you this example. Manong Angel was one heck of a warrior,
Right.
Right.
Oh yeah, we hear the stories.
and
Crazy stories.
he was just his attitude, dude. He was like, he had that fighting attitude. Don't get me wrong, he was a nice guy. He'd do whatever he can for you, and he's very polite, but man, when it came to his martial arts, he was a warrior.
All the training.
And
He
and,
looks mean.
and
He
so
does.
and so he challenged people.
Wow.
I mean, he put out challenges out there, and so anyway,
Scary.
he was he had just. I mean, you'll see videos of him teaching, and he's very basic, right?
Yeah.
But when you're in front of him, man, it's a whole
It's
different
an intensity.
thing. It's like the higher level you are, and your skills get better. What he comes up with gets better, and he just push you and push you and push you, right? And
Don't compare yourself.
So this is what he was, man. So what was the question?
Your bias and your own system.
The point is this. The point is this. But Manong Angel was Manong Angel.
Right.
And you are you.
How's he gonna teach me so I can fight?
Yeah, not like him, anyways.
Right.
Yeah.
You're never gonna be like him.
Right.
You have
Right.
to always become your own, and we always say
Yeah.
that, make it your own.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to become whatever comes from you
Yeah.
is you. You can't say, "Oh, I learned this from such and such, and this is the way I'm going to fight." Well, it changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I learned from all of my instructors, man, was that, and when is that there's in a fight, there's that window of opportunity,
Yeah.
and it's very small. It shows up, then it disappears just like that.
Right. And if you don't take advantage,
If
of
you
it,
don't,
already
if you
lost.
don't take, especially with blades,
Yeah.
if you
Oh,
don't take
yeah.
advantage of that, it's done, right?
Right.
And so I had teachers that specifically for me, especially Manong Angel, my father, man, they would just teach me, hey, you have limits,
Right.
So if this happens and it's going to happen, don't wait.
Just go.
Yeah, just go. Whether that means you're going to run out or do something, Or if he's pushing on him off the building when he's not looking, push him off the building.
That equates to a
Let
lot.
me ask you this, Carlito, because I've always wrestled with the idea of this. When you see somebody doing traditional stuff,
Mhm.
right, and the traditions will always tell you, make it your own,
Mhm.
but they keep it traditional. What does that tell you? I mean,